has some information on filtration systems that he can email to you. It's several pages, and so we didn't get it copied. But if you want that information, I'll put an email list over here that you can put your email on.
I also have approachingready.com, and his handout is on there.
Okay. So I'm going to be talking about filters, but there was a question here about putting bleach in a container and storing it, and then nothing's going to grow on it, and that's actually not true. Your bleach doesn't last forever, and what happens, because it's not airtight and air sealed, biofilm will build up inside of your water containers. That's why you have to rotate your water, is because the biofilm that builds up, and it's the biofilm that contains all the nasty bacteria that we don't want to drink. So it doesn't last forever. Now there is a solution that you can buy. It's a silver solution. I think it's about $40, and you can put about 5 mils of this in your container, and will help your water last for about 5 years. So you can store it versus rotating your water every 6 months like it's recommended. Putting the solution in your water will allow it. It breaks up the biofilm and will allow it to last for up to 5 years. So you don't have to rotate it.
And what's it called?
It's
colloidal silver.
It's not colloidal silver.
Aqua silver or something.
It is a silver solution, but it's if you'll put down your email, I'll email it to you. I'm sorry, I can't remember it offhand. I was going to bring it tonight, and I didn't have it with me, so I kind of dropped the ball on that one. But so my philosophy has kind of always been that I want to store water, and I'm going to store water. But if we ever get in an emergency, many of you probably went to the EMP class that we had recently. It talked about the system. If an EMP were to happen, 33 months before the system gets back up and going. You know, you're never going to store enough water. So I agree absolutely. Brother Rollins is saying is that we have to have at least some short-term storage, something that can keep you by for at least a few weeks, hopefully even a month. But after that, what do? You've got to have a way to filter your water. And so my thing that I'm going to talk about tonight is filters. Now the standard for filters is a 0.2 microns. All of your filters that you'll buy today are pretty much at 0.2 microns. That will get out all your bacteria, your parasites, cryptosporidiums, algae, heavy metals. Your heavy metals will be filtered through that. The one thing that it doesn't do, though, is that your smallest virus, or some of the smaller viruses, are going to be at 0.2 microns. So viruses are going to be able to get through that filter. So what do if you feel or you're worried that your water is contaminated with a virus? What do? Anybody know how long you boil for?
35 minutes.
You can do it 3 minutes. Actually, it even says you can probably get away with doing it for 1. If it were me, I'd do it at least 3 minutes, if not longer. You can boil your water. The other things you can do, but if you don't have a heat source, you can't boil.
UV sterilizer, SteriPen.
The SteriPen, okay? The SteriPen, I have it on here. It's you can buy them. There's a lot of different online, but a SteriPen you can stick inside of a water source, and it will sterilize your water. It will kill all bacteria, all viruses. They run about $80, so they are.
That always seems so hokey to me. I mean, they're so small, and it's like,
They
okay,
are.
what size of a container does it apply to? I mean, I know you have those
16 ounces.
little liter
So-
bottles that you can't boil
Yeah.
and stuff. And
16 ounces.
Yeah, so they're
Like, how long do
designed
I
for a
stick it?
glass of water that's
Yeah.
16 ounces. You
And
stick it
how
in
much
there,
is
it actually
time?
has a sensor that tells you when it has sterilized the water.
I'm not going to help your 55.
But a lot of
No.
your sterilizers that use to kill the bacteria are UV.
Yeah.
Another thing, though, you can use is bleach. You can use bleach, and bleach will kill viruses. So viruses become very an important thing. So I brought a few of them today that I wanted to share with you. So this is a very basic one. I mean, these filters can start really simple. This is called the LifeStrong. Now, there's a few of these on the market in different ones. This one actually filters down to 0.2 microns. So this is going to get the vast majority of your bacteria, your molds, your cryptosporidiums, things like that. However, if you're in Katrina, who remembers when Katrina happened, right? How long did it take for the government to get them water? Does anybody know? It took 3 days, yeah. I mean, in 3 days, these people are without water, but I know that it was way longer than, if I remember right, some of them got it 3 days, and then some of them got it even longer than that. We're going without water. But the soonest they were getting it was 3 days. Now, if you had one of these, would you be able to go outside in the flood and use it?
Nope.
Who thinks you would be able to use this one? If you want to get hepatitis, I wouldn't use this one. Otherwise, you're going to end up with hepatitis. Okay? Because this will not filter out your viruses. Okay? So, I think of the hepatitis B virus is at 0.04 microns. Okay? And this does 0.2 microns. So this is really good. This is a really good filter if you're backpacking. You have fast moving water, streams, you're up in the mountains, there's a pond, a lake. This would be great to use. But this is not something you would use in, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say in floodwater and stuff, wouldn't the sediment pretty much knock that thing out in a hurry?
You know, I've not used it in floodwater, so I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question. But there's one that's very similar to it. So I'll take right here. This one also, by the way, does about 800 gallons worth of water that will filter. So,
But that all depends on how dirty it is. too.
yeah, it does.
Yeah, but
So this one right here is a Sawyer Mini. Again, this one right here, you can buy online for about $15. Pretty cheap, pretty inexpensive.
I think doesn't the Bishop Storehouse have those also?
So the Bishop Storehouse carries this one right here. It's called Shell, precise Shell or filtration system. This is the one the Bishop Storehouse carries. Anybody know what's special about this one? It's the only filter on the water market, or only water filter on the market that has this property.
Change the filter?
Huh?
Change the filter?
Nope. There's a lot of them you can change the filter.
Takes the virus out.
Nope, it does do viruses though. You'd be okay with this one. It does radiologicals. It's the only one that I know of, that I've seen, that will filter out radiologicals. So if there was a nuclear fallout, this one would work. It's the only one that I know of that will do that, that claims to do that. So this one right here online,
just come to my house.
yeah, so this one online, I think through the church is $20. And it will do, if I remember right, it does about 100 gallons worth of water.
What is that called?
Seychelles water filter. And it's on Provident Living on their website. You can go in to buy food storage. The Bishop Storehouse sells them. Now, you do have to be careful. You want to make sure that you have one that will filter radiologicals, because they do make some that don't. So you want to make sure that this one, the one that you're buying, does filter radiologicals, because they do sell one that doesn't have it. Here's another water filtration system, really cheap, inexpensive. It's called the Sawyer Mini. This does 100,000 gallons of water. And it is, for a backpacking water filter, is pretty amazing, really. And it has a syringe in the back that as you filter water, so your sediment question, right? This actually, you can hook up to your water filter and squeeze it out, and it flushes this filter. This filter right here is about $25 online.
Does it do the viruses?
Let me check again. So that's on my handout, so I didn't have to remember all these. But that one, the Sawyer Mini, doesn't do viruses, but it does go down to 0.1 microns. So there's really, and I wrote this also in here so I didn't have to remember all this, but So there's really only the smallest viruses known that we know cause human disease. Is the smallest one is the parvovirus? I don't know. Parvovirus, B19.
B19.
Yep, which is
Fifth disease is the other name for it.
yeah, which is 0.02 microns. So this one here goes down to 0.1 microns. So it's not quite small enough to filter that virus if you were to encounter it. However, there are other straws just like this. This one's called the Defender. What's the name? It's a Defender. That's what it's called. Life Defender and the Aqua Pura water filter. Both of them are just like this. They both run about $15 to $20, and they both filter down to 0.01 micron. So you would be safe in that case. Now the problem with these are straw type, so you have to put it right here and you're sucking it out. That's how it filters. So you're not going to get a lot of flow going through that. If you have a whole bunch of people, it's going to take a while to get everyone hydrated.
Then the first one will be saturated. That's kind of like this.
Yeah. And hopefully your buddy doesn't have a virus or something. That's not good. This is another one. This is probably my favorite water filter that I have. It's called the Lifesaver water filter. It's a little more on the expensive end, but it has activated carbon in it, so that actually, if you want to change the taste, a lot of these will filter out the bad stuff, the bacterias, the viruses like that, but it doesn't really change the taste. So your water can still taste pretty bad. So if you don't have an activated carbon aspect to your water filter, it's not going to change the taste. This one does and filters down to 0.015 microns. And it has on here, for your sediment that you're worried about, it actually untwists on the backside here. And you can put in a little mesh thing and you scoop up your water, you put it on, and then this, you just pump it. Pushes it through, you flip the lid, and then you can drink on it. So it's pretty nice. This one does about 6,000 gallons of water.
So it's called the Lifesaver?
A Lifesaver. But that's a little more on the expensive end. I think they're about $100 for a water filter like that. But you don't have to have a water filter like that. But they're kind of nice to have. This is the same concept with this thing. This is not something you would backpack with, obviously, but if you were in a base camp situation where you had to be in there, the same technology as the Lifesaver, it just happens to do 20,000 liters worth of water in this one thing here. So it's kind of the same concept. Some of the other ones. So another base camp one is called a Berkey. I don't know if many of you have heard of the Berkeys, but I don't know if there is a water filter on the market that filters just about as much as a Berkey does. It does all your organic compounds. It does just about everything. The only thing it doesn't do is the radiological. So you need that. Now, if I were to go ahead.
As nice as it is, a lot of these will not filter out chemical contaminants as well.
Yeah.
If you've got strychnine in your well, or cyanide, or salt water, or anything that's a organic compound, it's not going to touch it.
Except for there are a few. There are a few that will do those, and the Berkey is actually one that will. The Berkey is one. It will get a lot of your organic compounds, a lot of your what they call VOCs, volatile organic compounds. So your benzenes, propylenes, all these different types of, if it ends in an ene, it's going to get it.
Well, the last one that you demonstrated, the Lifesaver,
Yes,
smaller, will that do the radiologicals?
it will not. There's only one on the market that I know of
And what is
that claims to do the radiologicals, and that's the one the church sells.
Okay, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So these are pretty inexpensive. I think this would be a nice thing to have in a bug out bag, or a 72-hour kit for each of your kids, your family. I think this one's fabulous. Questions?
You know, I was reading up on the Berkeys, and it looks like they come in a huge number of sizes.
Yes.
So that you can get to the point where you're filtering 5-10 gallons of water an hour, if
Yeah.
that's what you want to.
Yeah.
But what about the filters? How often do you end up, because don't they have replaceable filters?
They do, yeah. And so the Berkey gets kind of expensive because you're starting at about $250 for a Berkey. You can go all the way up to $350 depending on the capacity that you want to filter through. Now, we actually have in our, and I think,
Filters.
yeah, and I think Brother Osler has on his website a way to make your own homemade Berkey water filter to cut down and make it about half the price. So you're looking at about $170. They come with some black. They come with different type of filters.
That's the ceramic filter that you can put in a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. Just drill a hole in it, put that in it. And in this little pouch right here is, you drill another hole in the bottom, that's your spigot of the lower bucket. So you
So
can
you use 2 buckets.
use 2 buckets stacked on each other. Put the lid on the bottom bucket, set the top bucket on that, but you drill the hole through it so that this can drain into it. This does the same thing as this does. So this is about $40 for the filter.
So
Now, can those be rinsed at all though, like through a hose?
I think you
The
can
only
rinse
thing I is my
ceramic.
hot tub has got
Yeah.
ceramic filters.
yeah,
And you can just take them out and spray
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah.
And what it does is it gets rid of the heavier particulates
Sure.
that are in there, and then it.
sure.
There's one more thing I like about this Berkey, is that it was $14.99 at Goodwill. I don't walk away from that one.
No. Yeah, considering it's probably a $300 filter. So Goodwill seems like the place to go. So on a really inexpensive end, on the really inexpensive end, for, let's say we just don't have the money to do any of this. Really, the safest way to get rid of all of your inorganic compounds and your organics, which most filters, and Brother Matter was right, most of these filters are not going to do organic compounds. So if we're worried about that, how do we filter our water so that we can drink it? And the best, what was that?
Carbon.
Carbon's really good, but what if we don't have carbon? What do we do, right? We distill it. You distill your water. Now there's 100 different ways online you could research to learn how to distill your water, right? And it's a very, very simple way. All of that, all the problems we're talking about can be gone with distilling your water. So distilling the water is a great way to do it. Now there is a little bit of controversy about the pH of the water, if it's too acidic or not. You know what, in an emergency situation, I'm not worried about that. I want to hydrate myself. So a distiller's great. This happens to be my distiller that I bought. It's called a Waterwise, and you put it on a heat source and it distills water. And I wanted something, I got a big family, I need something to do it kind of quick. So I got a little bit bigger one. Any questions about what we've talked about here at all?
How many gallons an hour does that one do?
This one right here? You know, I don't know. I'm not had it go for an hour. Did about a half hour, I got quite a bit of water out of it though.
I'm hoping I'm not the only one asking, because this is new to me. What's the difference between boiling it and distilling?
Oh, good question.
Okay.
So when you're boiling water, all the sediment and everything is still going to remain inside there. So your distiller is turning into a vapor, and then it's condensing, and then you're collecting the condensation, and that's what you're drinking.
Pure water.
Pure water. Yep. Nothing in it.
Does that mean it's gonna take care of the taste?
Yeah. 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 A lot of your tastes are coming from those VOCs that you have in your water, different chemicals in your water. Absolutely.
Could some things distill out similar to water, or the things that are more volatile, do they go on go on by and go out, or do you get some, or is it, do you get only
So,
water?
good question, good question. So a lot of your alcohols that get in your water will actually, when you start to distill water, will be the first that you'll actually collect in your water. So as you begin to distill water like that, you actually want to discard just the first little bit, so you're not drinking that. Good question.
So we lived in Florida here several years ago, and I hated the water. And the only
Yeah.
way I could, and I hated, we lived 20 miles from town, and I hated, all these jugs of water. So we got a water distiller. And when you do run the water distiller, it actually will cake up with calciums and all kinds of stuff inside
Yeah.
that little canister.
Yeah.
And there occasionally you gotta clean it out, but
Yeah.
it removes everything, but it'll stay behind, and so.
Yeah.
Kind of.
So like in the bottom of this one, I did it at home just to play with it when I got it. And just a little bit I got out of my tap, I already had to clean it out from the stuff that accumulates. Because it literally leaves everything behind.
Is that one you just put on your stove, or?
Yeah, you can put on a stove. I have this actually for an emergency situation. I have it set up to where I can put on a little rocket stove. I don't know if you know what those are, but it literally burns on twigs. So that's the idea with that, is I put that on a rocket stove and use it that way. Any other questions?
What's a rocket stove?
That's another class.
That's another class. When we talk about cooking.
A rocket stove doesn't look that different than a Berkey, actually. It looks a little bit like this, but has the internal burning chamber inside here, and you feed little twigs through it, and it burns so efficient that it'll actually burn the smoke out. It burns so well, and the heat transfer is great. So if you can imagine this being a rocket stove, I'd just go ahead and I'd set this right on top of it, and I would just distill my water that way if I had to.
I think you can make those out of number 9 cans.
You can make those at number 10 cans, yeah.
10, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can. Yeah, they work really well.
And if you're really in an emergency, get the Boy Scout handbook. Has some great things in there. How to do a water still with a plastic bag and all of that. I still like having many of these things, but it's at least something that's inexpensive that you can have on hand.
And there are water distillers. You know, I've been playing at home with them because I want to have something that's portable. That's my idea. Is I want to have something, if I'm staying home, I want to be able to just distill my water. I want to be able to filter a lot of water, and I don't want to have to wait for it. But if I'm portable, and I have to be portable, I have to be mobile, I'm not taking this with me. I'm taking this with me, right? So in every scenario, you kind of have to think about, what if I'm at home, what if I'm going, right? And I guess the point is that it's not really bad just to start really simple, you know? If you boil your water, let's say you boil your water, then you take this, and then you can just suck right out of that as it cools down, and then you're gonna be covered for anything that you need to worry about. It's really simple to start, and I think it behooves all of us to prepare for something like that. Thank you. Oh, question?
Chemicals, other than bleach, don't they have like little tablets and things like that that go
They do.
forward?
They have
They do, the
iron,
military.
bleach, silver. I was just looking up the silver one. It's simple silver or something. But so they have all of those other things that you can use. You're just getting into a lot more money.
Well, and I'm not necessarily in favor of them anyway, because to me, these other processes don't involve chemicals.
Yeah.
Right.
To a large
Yeah,
degree.
so
Yeah, the military uses one. That's what the military do. They'll carry around little tablets that they put in their water if they get in trouble, and it's supposed to kill everything, but they're drinking everything that's in there too. You know, it's pretty nasty, but you can survive with it for sure.
The bleach and the drops, do you just go buy like a drop, like an eyedropper at the pharmacy? Is that the drops that you're talking about? Or?
That's a good question. I don't
yeah,
actually.
yeah, that's so. When I'm doing smaller containers, I'll just get an eyedropper bottle,
Okay.
and then just use that and count out the drops that way. Mostly I use it in the 55-gallon drums, so I can do, I think it's 1/4 of a cup. I always look it up because I don't do it that often.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, there's a little thing right there. So it's essentially 2 drops of bleach per quart or 8 drops per gallon. So
But for storing bleach, your bleach granules are really the best.
yeah,
Because they will store and still have potency,
Yeah.
whereas your liquid.
your liquid, yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
This is the pool shop stuff.
And then, yeah, pool shop, and an emergency bleach clears the storage really fast.
What the sites that I went to is you can take a pinch of pool shop powder per quart, and you'll have the same as 5.2. 5% chloride.
Yeah. So when I was in college, we did an immunology class, and I'll never forget. We went through and everyone had to go to the bathroom, and then they came back and they said, "Touch the handle," and you come back, you touch the handle, and you put it on. Right? We had to wash with all kinds of disinfectants and stuff, and inevitably in these petri dishes there would grow bacteria and all types of nasty stuff. But the moment they used bleach, nothing grew. Nothing grew. Literally, bleach is, if you want to kill parasites, you want to kill stuff, bleach is the way to go. All right. Any other questions?
So when you use chemicals to purify water that you're going to drink, or use, is it correct there is a certain amount of time that reaction has to take place?
30 minutes.
With iodine, you have to wait.
Yeah.
30 minutes.
At least that's what they taught us in the Army. Whether or not they were true when they taught me that's a question. No, it's usually they consider it 30 minutes.
So here's an example of the gravity filters. You can make your own filters. There's a lot of information out there on how to make your own filters. Get some charcoal, some diatomaceous earth, and you can make a filter on your own that works just as good as that you'll buy. So it doesn't have to be expensive. It can be inexpensive.
I was gonna say.
Oh, am I on the way?
It's hard to see.
Sorry. All right. That's my wife. She can say that. I don't know what it is. All right. And then I have on here in this sheet here talks about the different aspects of when you might. I have on the back here a list of different contaminants you might encounter in your water and the size in microns of each of those contaminants. In addition, I have on here a thing about the viruses and when you would have to worry about that, when you'd have to worry about viruses in your water. So that's really kind of the gist of it. Any other questions?